All right, we are live. Welcome to the Spinnin Backfist MMA show for February 7th. It is Tuesday, February 7th, 2023, and it is a huge show. We've got, it's been a crazy year in MMA already, but the biggest news of the year in MMA, Conor McGregor is back. Surprise, surprise, the king is back. Conor McGregor will coach the next season of The Ultimate Fighter against Michael Chandler, probably at 170 pounds. He told Bussin' with the Boys, which, look at the size of Conor. Not so surprising.
No, see, I mean, I expect it seems expected.
He's huge.
Yeah,
He's probably 190 right now.
Oh, yeah. He looks
maybe
massive.
200. So he's going to have to cut down to that. But they're going to film. I don't know when they're going to film, but it's going to air the end of May through August.
So I believe Chandler said he's going to be down there in the next week.
I know that. Him and they're going to go down. I think they're going down to meet with Dana first, though.
Oh, got it.
I think they're going down to meet with Dana the Monday after the Super Bowl, he said. Which Conor also, the past couple of years, Conor's gone to the Super Bowl. That's like a thing that I guess he likes to do. I don't know if it's just 12. To promote Proper 12. Yeah, he's got the new whiskey coming out. But there's those great pictures of him throwing a football, and he looks like he's never held a football before. He did just drop a new Irish whiskey. Shout out to McGregor. No free ads, but kind of a free ad. He's got apple whiskey now.
Oh, nice.
And did you see his press conference? He did as Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I saw that.
Put on a turtleneck and did the whole shebang. That was nice. I'm sure the apple whiskey is going to be a massive seller, especially he's just going to promote it the entire time in The Ultimate Fighter. But this is huge news. They're going to fight at the end of the season, obviously, probably August, September range. I think it's a great opponent for McGregor in his comeback. We talked about it a little off mic where Chandler is at the top, at least close enough to the top, where with a win, he will get a title shot. Michael Bisping said it today, 100%. They will give McGregor a title shot with a win here.
I think so. Yeah, I said this to you off camera. I think he is like Chandler was the perfect opponent. It's action. It's like the most action. Probably the least resistance to getting a title shot. Yeah, so I think it would have been hard to justify with Tony. Chandler's just good enough. He's ranked like 5th, 6th in the rankings. We talk about this too. It's actually nuts. If you look at when Chandler signed, at the time of his signing to the UFC, he literally has fought in the 1 through 5 contenders. Now, they obviously currently don't sit there right now, but at the time he signed his first UFC contract, Khabib was the champion. He's literally fought 1 through 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's fought the best guys besides Khabib. I mean, Khabib literally retired before he fought.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's fought like the top 5 lightweights that were ranked when he signed.
His debut is when we were still saying, like, if McGregor wins, maybe like Khabib can get dragged back for one final fight. Dana wanted that to happen. Cole says, would they give him a 155 title shot if he fights Chandler at 170? No,
I think yes.
I don't think McGregor.
You think they'd give him the 170 shot?
I don't think McGregor ever fights at 155 ever again.
See, I think for a title shot he would, and especially if it was Islam.
Does he want to fight Islam?
I don't know.
See, I think he does.
I think he does.
I mean, he wants
Chandler like
somebody like that.
That's also
whoever's the champ at the time.
It needs to be pointed out. McGregor is taking this fight off injury, off layoff, and he's going straight up to Chandler. Like the talk about McGregor dodging fights, it needs to stop. He fought Khabib off his crazy layoff after the Mayweather thing. I don't think McGregor is dodging fights. Is he like picking and choosing even? I don't know. Because like, who's a tougher opponent for him in that division that's available right now and makes sense?
The only one you could say would be Poirier, I guess.
And like, again, yeah.
And that'd obviously be the 4th time they fought. So even that you could argue it's not. But I mean, in terms of people that are available, it literally is basically.
He might have taken the toughest guy.
I mean, well, I guess you know what? Actually, you know what? I'll play devil's advocate with you for a little bit. I mean, Beneil's available. Charles is available. I know they're saying Charles.
Yeah.
And Beneil, I know they're saying Charles and Beneil are probably going to fight in the next like 4 or 5-ish months.
There's an argument for Charles,
which I'd prefer because I think Beneil. I was saying this to you off camera too. That I think Beneil is the dark horse of the division.
Yeah.
And I was saying to you, I rewatched the Gamrot fight again just to like even. He was so good.
He's
and that was coming off
Gamrot
beating Sarukian.
And no disrespect to him, he's so uninteresting as well.
Yeah, that's he knows that.
The Ultimate Fighter,
like, he knows that. But just skill wise, he could fight. But Chandler makes the most sense especially with the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, great personality.
It's a very exciting fight. He's almost become like America's favorite fighter.
I was going to say the All-American guy versus Ireland.
He's become like he reps the flag. every fight he's been has been incredibly exciting in the UFC.
Yep. And he's also a guy who might not want to use his wrestling against Conor. He might. Who knows? He might go in there and take him down right away.
5 rounds with them is interesting too.
5 rounds, and it's like
with 2 of them, you don't really see it going 5 rounds. But like if he decides to wrestle, maybe.
And it's like at 170, Conor's going to be a lot bigger than him. I think.
You know what? Chandler's interesting. Like he will be bigger for sure.
He's not that much taller than him. I think he's got an inch on him.
Chandler's frame is huge. He's just short.
Yeah.
Wait, McGregor only has an inch on?
I think so. McGregor's 5'9". I think Chandler's 5'8".
See, I feel like Chandler's more like 5'7" probably.
You think they're giving him an inch on?
Yeah, I'd say he's probably a little taller, but if Chandler's frame is big.
And also, if you're Chandler,
he says he's like 190 right now.
The biggest thing I think
he's just thick and jacked, but he's just short.
Speaking of guys that are available, I mean, it would be kind of a boring fight, but the lead up between a fight of him and Colby would be, I think,
that'd be crazy.
Would be crazy because Colby is probably he's the guy that, I mean, Chandler seems like a very normal guy. He'll get into the trash talking, but he knows where it's like what to say, what to not. And remember, McGregor had that really nice tweet about Chandler after he knocked out Tony, I think.
Yeah, it was Tony, yeah.
And he was like, it'd be great to fight you. But Colby and him would be like, Colby hasn't fought in a year or so. The only thing is, from a Dana White UFC perspective, yeah, the Ultimate Fighter with Colby would be great, but it could be just a really boring fight.
Oh,
Chandler, that's exactly what it was.
Chandler will go in there, and I think he'll bang with McGregor. I think McGregor KOs him round 1.
So do I.
Really?
Yeah,
I really do.
But the only thing is, Colby would go in and just wrestle.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
So because Chandler's probably, I think he's even said, he's like, I could go in there and wrestle and be like that and just kind of be a more boring fighter, but he just wants to put on the show. I mean, good for him. He's won the belt in Bellator, and then he came over and he was a few seconds away from finishing Charles.
Very close.
And then
very close.
And then now he's just kind of maybe he'll get another shot. You never know. He's a guy that could take the call.
Definitely. He beats McGregor.
He's back in the mix. He's like solidified himself in the top
but
five.
I mean, he's somebody that, even though Chandler's lost a lot, he's somebody that I think has just like the ultimate respect of all MMA fans in general, because he goes in and puts on a fucking show.
He's lost 0 stock in his losses.
He's never lost a fight that wasn't fight of the night in the UFC.
Yeah. He has lost
2-2,
0
and then
stock.
2 losses were fights in the, or excuse me, 1 was fight of the year.
Yeah.
Second was was a nominee for fight of the year.
And then Charles fight did that get fight of the night?
No, because I didn't get fight of the night.
It was Diaz and Edwards.
Me, so I guess he did. So I guess he did lose 1 fight but it was a title fight.
Yeah.
And
he 10-8'd
that
him
fight was sick.
He 10-8'd him in the first round.
He did, yeah. It's also,
and Charles even took his back.
Yeah.
And he was able to get out of it too, which is, I think, slept on. How, honestly, I don't know if you've seen a few people who, I know Bisping said it. Aljo said it recently on his podcast too, that he genuinely believes that if Chandler didn't try to be Iron Mike and use his full asset of skills and his full game, that they truly believe he would be the person that would be most equipped to beat Islam in the division. Not saying they didn't say he definitely could, but they
has the skills.
His skill set would be the most equitable to his.
And it's funny because you could make the argument if he fights like that, he might not get tough against McGregor. It's maybe he does, but I think a big part of the reason he gets tough against McGregor is because he's such an exciting fighter.
And he knows what the people
caution
want.
To the wind.
He knows what the people want.
His call-outs were great when he's
for sure.
He's great on the you're mic. Biggest, you're baddest. Yep. It's a wrestling promo.
I mean, the one he did after after basically both his wins, he's got great promos.
Yeah,
phenomenal promos even.
And he's a friend of
Bussin' with the Boys.
And Bussin' with the Boys.
They had the scoop, basically. They had the first interview with him. The news dropped.
He hit them up
and
before
they were
it was
live.
Announced, basically. Hey, Dana literally went live, and the second Dana was done going live, they went live.
Which was
they were
awesome.
Prepped, ready to go.
If you haven't watched that interview yet, make sure you watch it. It's on the Bussin' with the Boys channel. It's just Chandler and Taylor, and they really go through everything. And we were saying off mic, Chandler is unbelievably transparent and open and humble when he's talking about
when he wants
the skills and he's saying
whatever he wants to do, whether that's going to MMA, ESPN, UFC coverage.
Oh yeah.
Or if you just I know he does go to a lot of political events, a little bit more right wing leaning, but he's a guy from Missouri, so right, he's from Mizzou.
He went to Mizzou. I'm not sure.
All that being
I think
said,
he's from
he could do whatever he wants. He could have a fucking show on whatever cable TV. He could have a podcast at Barstool Sports. Like he could be on the desk with the with everybody
for sure.
And it was so interesting to hear him break down like what McGregor's skills are and how like his footwork's so much better, his countering is so much better. He was saying, as opposed to, you know, my wrestling is so much better and I'm better in this way. Him breaking it down, him being real about it, and him saying the strengths that he has to, you know, combat that McGregor has was really cool. He said, and we talked about this, he believes the fight's going to start and he's going to make McGregor make the first back step. He's going to go right out to the center of the octagon. I said to Ev, I can't imagine that happening because that's McGregor's MO. He like cheats the line, especially with Herb Dean. Herb lets him get away with a lot, and he'll be in the center of the octagon before Herb says, let's fight.
For sure. No, he does do that. But I said to you, I was like, but Chandler does the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe not the cheat step, but Chandler like always
runs out to the center.
Chandler always runs out first, at least in the first round.
So it's like, how does this fight start? Do they both run out to the start and just start fucking trading?
Well, that's
right
what I was
away?
going to say. Do they just like bell rings and they're just like, all right, like let's fight. Boom.
Does McGregor throw one of those weird spinning kicks?
See, I think
Chandler grabs him, like runs him back up to the wall and then starts trying to like pour it on like that.
I think McGregor throws some crazy shit out like the first.
I think so too.
Like
I don't think he
comes out and doing a little. I think he does like a crazy like spinning kick.
Yeah,
or
like just worry about
some
this.
does some wild like I don't know, some wild punch or something.
The shoulder strikes he opened the Cowboy fight with. It's an amazing matchup though. I think Tough is going to be like the biggest show in the dog days of summer when nothing else is on except
they picked
baseball.
A great time to do it.
Like holy shit, this is going to be must-watch TV. It's on ESPN, not just ESPN Plus. This is a show that I could imagine captivating the masses. And Chandler said he could see 2 million pay-per-views for this, and some people are clowning him for it. I don't think they should be. That's a high bar to shoot for, but I don't think it's unachievable.
Yeah, it's high now, and I know people have complained. I've heard some counter arguments to it where it's like the pay-per-view price has gone cheaper. Up.
Yeah,
it's gone up since then, and I think pay-per-views as a whole have done less. But like you said, I mean the third Poirier Chandler fight did 1.8. Which is the second biggest pay-per-view they've ever had besides the
and I know it had the fights to build it up, the previous fights.
Yeah.
Didn't have this run on The Ultimate Fighter.
I think it's going to be so much based on The Ultimate Fighter and the back and forth. I think, listen, it'll help the build up regardless. But we were talking in the group chat. I'm just curious how disrespectful McGregor's how he's gonna get.
Yeah.
If he's gonna go the lowest of low blows, or it's gonna be more like you're a journeyman, like Class B Bellator fighter. Or is he going to say like, or is he going to get like, talk about like his kids being black? Like there's there's many layers of dark. It's how not that
and McGregor's
how,
line.
Like, what level is he going to stoop to?
His line is a lot further than most of our lines. He said things about Khabib's dad and post death, like Khabib's dad and Khabib's wife and Poirier's wife, where I'm like, I don't think off limits for him.
See, but to me, like your wife sent me DMs is like it's obviously it's a low blow, but it's one of those that Poirier's not losing. He's like, no, she's not, bro. Like she's in bed with me. Like, she's not in your DMs.
Yeah,
like that's one of those that you can like take that, but there's certain lines that like what is he gonna cross? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think he'll go after the kids
because he will also in the bus. And Chandler was saying, which I believe this. I think he was saying that his wife is incredibly like thick-skinned.
Yeah,
him just saying your wife's whatever. Like that's not gonna.
It won't get. Yeah, it won't
he was like them. Not even.
They'll laugh about
worried
it.
Like whatsoever about that.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna come right out the gate with disrespect.
I don't think so either.
It'll start kind of forming throughout the season. I do think by the time they fight, I think McGregor will have said something that we're like, that was pretty fucking disrespectful.
Yeah. That's the biggest question. I thought he would go all the way, but then hearing Big Ev push back on it in the group chat when we were talking, what was that, Saturday or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I completely agreed with him a little bit more so, but we'll see. I mean, who knows? It's Conor. I mean, the fact that he went after. I mean, he said some really crazy things leading up to the Khabib fight.
He still says some crazy things about Khabib.
Yeah, he still said some like incredibly disrespectful for like various reasons, religious, whatnot. Who knows? Maybe he likes Chandler. He's like always he's
always been respectful towards Chandler.
He hates Khabib. And also that was still when Conor wasn't at his peak. I mean, I guess that was his peak looking back at it, but now he doesn't need to promo it that hard. Like, it's like you don't have to prove yourself. It's as much anymore. But
I don't think it's proving himself for him. I think it's true mental warfare for him. I think in his mind, he's like incepting his opponent's brain and digging in there.
I agree, partly because we were kind of saying that too after the, like, obviously the second Poirier fight, he's respectful. He gets beat up, he loses. And then he tries like go back into his bag for the third one. But then when you're talking shit to the guy who just knocked you out, I think it just doesn't play the same.
It doesn't.
And especially when the first fight was like so long before that, where it's like, it didn't even matter.
I view his trash. I think McGregor's going to trash talk Chandler like he trash talked Poirier in the first fight between them. When he was super young, his main thing against Poirier was like, your chin's gone, brother. You have a glass chin. Like, everyone's dropping you at this point. I view that as McGregor's saying like, bro, Tony Ferguson dropped you. Like,
you know what? That I expect.
Yeah.
That I expect to happen at some point. Like I said,
I think that's how it starts.
You're a Class B guy. You're not like in this like you like I knock out champions. Like you're like you champions.
I'm giving you a red pen.
Like I built this thing for you.
Yeah, kind of thing. Like I see him more going that right. That now I will pose this hypothetical. They're 4 weeks in the competition. Team Chandler's 3-0, 4-0.
Yeah,
I think McGregor gets upset. Like I think
he's competitive.
If you watch the first one with Faber, which he wasn't even fighting Uriah, like his guys were losing at first, and he was saying how he was playing all cool, like, oh, like I'm not gonna get super invested.
Yeah.
And then his guys would lose, he'd be furious.
Pissed. And I'm excited to see him back as Coach Conor, cornerman Conor, when he's yelling to the fighter, keep it flowy, Artem, like the clips in that. Yeah. So many great
I wonder how that's gonna go too. I wonder
is he going to mention? Is
he going to have Artem? Is he going to have a little mentee?
Like, also,
like, is he going to have like some Irish guy that's like under his wing, or like it doesn't seem that way to me. I'm not aware of anyone, but I could be wrong.
Good thing bring in Lee Hammond. Lee Hammond is like a younger guy at SBG. He could bring him in if he wanted to.
That's another thing too. They haven't announced weight class. They haven't announced male or female.
It seemed like Chandler didn't even really know.
He said he had no idea. He had no clue.
He didn't even. I mean, he didn't.
Because they got to rally those guys or girls now.
Yeah,
you got to get them all. Like, well, obviously, and I will say this too: with having the Contender Series, the Ultimate Fighter is much different.
It is.
Like the Contender Series is a much like easier path.
It's a more feeder path. Yeah.
The only thing
you get one nice win.
You don't say no to
a Conor season.
Season.
Agreed. 100%. Totally agree with you.
Like Nunez Pena, no disrespect. I would say if you had the Dana White Contender Series or that. You go with
if you were like, because think about how many of those guys were like you're already on their radar.
Yeah.
And you probably are like one LFA win away or like something like that anyway. A lot of those guys could see saying no, but totally agree. I mean,
you could be a star by the end of the
star power.
season.
If you like, if you're like a big personality, you're knocking people out, you're exciting, whatever. You agree, you could be a massive star by the time you're UFC.
Especially if you win the contract. Have some personality, because like if you have personality on this season with Conor, if you're on Conor's team or Chandler, like let's say you're a fucking like on Chandler's team and you're talking shit to Conor, like people will love that.
Oh, of course.
Oh yeah.
And Conor will probably like low key like it. It's kind of like
loved it with Garbrandt back in when he was on Uriah's team. Like
think about those guys on those fucking like those. Yeah. So, but it is great to see the Ultimate Fighter a little bit more back. Maybe, but yeah, I mean,
I think this will like rejuvenate it. Hopefully, in that like hopefully next season we can get John Jones versus someone on the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, the last
let's get Masvidal. Like like
you could do John like.
Let's get Adesanya City Kickboxing versus someone. Let's get the biggest names possible back on the Ultimate Fighter. If you want to bring it back, that's how to do it.
This will inspire stars.
How much do you think they have to pay McGregor to do Ultimate Fighter?
I bet it's not as much as you think because he has all of the money now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I think it's still paying him a lot.
I think they're paying him a fuck ton, I'm sure.
Also, and I'm sure there's in the contract, like all of your scenes can have like proper 12. Like
I'm sure Proper's going to be a sponsor the whole season. It's going to be on the canvas for the finals.
Also, it just helps pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So it just him inherently just doing it, it's going to make him more money, like just with the fight.
Yeah.
And another thing I think we can put to bed, well, like you said, that was always a fallacy. The idea that he runs from fights because he's never ran from a fight. I mean, he went up like the fact he never ran from Habib is the number one what you look at from that perspective. But also, like we had Big Cat in here, and not to say, well, like Big Cat's probably a casual MMA fan if you think about him. And he was like, "Oh, I just think Conor's done because like he has all the money. Why does he want to fight?" That was a big time take from a lot of people. That's dead. I think he wants.
No. But if you remember though, he said, "But whenever he fights, I'll always buy it."
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not
yeah.
saying
that.
That wasn't a call to
he
big
just thought
cat.
he
That
was
was
done
more,
in that like.
Fair. Yeah.
That it's a bigger like a lot of people, and that wasn't just big cat. That was just on our show. A lot of my friends, whatnot, and I think it was a take. It was like, "Oh, he's so rich, he has all the money. Why does he want to fight?" I think he's just like he's obsessed with it. So and
committing yourself to this like couple week-long process of shooting and being open to all the cameras again, like you have to love it. He doesn't have to do this at all.
Yeah,
he could be like, I want to fight Chandler in September, and they'd be like, cool, let's do it.
Yeah. So
sure.
I mean, and so it's really exciting, and yeah, the show's going to be big time.
It's going to be awesome. Coach Kavanaugh will be back in the mix, I'm sure. Owen Roddy, maybe McGregor's boxing coaches that he's been bringing around, the Crumlin boxing coaches.
Chandler was saying he's kind of scrambling because obviously being like AT&T, it's like a weird.
Yeah, like
it's
do you
tough
get
to get guys. So he basically said he's gonna have guys rotating in and out. Like he said, Henry Hoop's gonna be there for like points of time, but he's not gonna just be there for 6 weeks straight. The guy Stout is like the other striking coach.
Mike Brown, will he do any of the time?
He didn't say anything about Mike Brown. He said, I think his name is Jason Stout. It's like their striking coach.
Yeah, I don't even know if Mike Brown is like.
He's like Stout's like the associate coach.
He might not.
He said the problem with him is he literally goes like every guy's fight, so he's just always traveling. And he said Burns might do it.
Oh, that'd be cool.
He said he told Burns like obviously like I guess he said this to everybody that kind of like listen like you don't have to do it. I'm literally asking you to commit like 6 weeks and like 5 days notice.
Wait, Burns is at.
He trains there too.
Top team, yeah.
I thought Burns was out. What's it called? What's the other one in Florida?
Sanford.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're at Sanford. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
they are at Sanford.
Yes.
They're at Sanford.
Who's at Sanford?
Like Chandler and them are. That was my mistake.
Chandler's
I mixed them up.
Mike Brown.
When I said ATT, I mixed them up. I meant Sanford. I meant Sanford.
And then ATT is Masvidal, obviously.
Yes, and like
so
Poirier, and like those guys. Yeah,
Evelyn. Yeah.
Yes.
Because Poirier was, and this is probably a good transition to Bellator.
We could transition.
Poirier was ringside.
Corner, yeah.
And I think he by his reaction, he loves Evelyn. And obviously, I mean, that fight was awesome. I thought he had some adversity. Tokov's a good fighter.
Yeah,
he was
better than I thought he'd be for sure.
And his jabs, I think, for whatever reason, just hurt his eye a little bit.
It
was closing, but Evelyn just he showed again why. I mean,
Masvidal called him the best middleweight in the world yesterday.
I mean, is he that wrong? I mean, him against. The only thing is like him against. If we're looking at the best middleweights in the world right now, right? Like Pereira. How would you think that fight against Evelyn would go? Like, what would you line that?
It's tough because I mean the wrestling edge obviously is huge.
You would have to give. I love Evelyn, but you'd have to make Pereira the favorite.
But I think I would. It
wouldn't be a big favorite.
Like minus 140 plus 120.
If
somebody gave me
just
Evelyn
level of competition
plus 200, like responsibly, I think that would be like
he called for the fight on Twitter. Did you see that?
Who?
Evelyn.
Yeah, no, I mean,
someone tweeted like we should make
I
him
actually
fight.
I did watch an interview. He spoke about it, and his logic is basically, listen, like just the sheer. This guy's basically his logic was he wrestled at Mizzou with Chandler. Yeah. He's been a high level wrestler literally his entire life.
Yeah.
Pereira started doing just MMA like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like he was basically just saying that like it would take him 10 years to catch up wrestling. To grapple,
yeah.
So I mean, could he land like some? He has hands. They call him hands of stone for a reason.
Yeah.
He always have a puncher's chance, but Evelyn was pretty much like he just thinks he would just wrestle fuck him for 5 rounds.
He'll get,
which I think is within like is not totally out of the question.
He said after that, obviously he'll get and Fabian Edwards,
the rematch. Yeah,
Leon's brother.
Yep,
they're fighting in Paris and whenever that card is, and then he said he'd love to fight that guy.
The winner.
And then after that, I mean. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Nemkov a little bit higher up. I don't know if he'll ever go up that high, but that is a good. I mean, that's his first title defense. But I mean, if he gets a few, I don't know what his contract is, but like I mean, I think he'll be
UFC, PFL.
He could be a massive
free
deal.
agent.
Yeah, big free agent or stay at Bellator.
Also, we can't talk about his fight without mentioning the German suplex at the end.
I mean,
insane.
Holy shit. And that picture, he reposted a picture where you could see his eyes are like looking down at the mat right where he's going to slam him. Picture perfect.
That was awesome.
Unreal.
His cardio is elite.
That the Lorenz Larkin knockout from earlier in the night, the short elbow off the separation, just made the guy fucking face plant. Unreal finishes. And then the Ward fight was amazing.
I mean, that fight
incredible.
Delivered.
Absolutely delivered. Brennan Ward is skyrocketing up after his comeback.
Another Connecticut guy, New London, Connecticut.
Another big Connecticut guy. And then unfortunately the main event.
Yeah, I mean,
both main events, both heavyweight main events this weekend just made me a little sad to watch.
The Fedor thing was a little bit more expected.
I was huge on Bader.
Me too.
I expected
and
it.
also under the fact that line was like under 1.5 or like it wasn't that juiced. Looking back on it, that fight was never getting to at any point more than I think the fight.
Oh my
that
God.
was Fedor took one shot and you could see right away he was like.
And I texted you guys in the opening seconds. I was like, oh my God, look at how much he's leading with his chin. Fedor was fighting like, please end it. Like it was crazy.
I'm telling you, I really just think like when you're in a fight that you know you're retiring, it's how can you be all the way in?
Yeah,
100%.
I just think part of you, I think part of you, if you say you're retired, you're like basically accepted defeat.
You're out. Yeah.
Not accepted defeat, like, but just you like if you lose, like
you're
like
foot out the door.
You're win lose. I don't care. Yeah, you're like it's over.
Also, Fedor, someone. I mean, he's done it all. All the legends that were there.
That was
really
awesome.
Cool.
That was absolutely him calling Chuck Liddell fat was hysterical when he's like, your belly. He's like, yeah. You know how it goes.
Like, you're
he's
right.
like, oh fuck yeah. That was super funny. The final like shot of his gloves being left in the cage was cool. And I know in his career he's had more than a few decisions handed to him that he shouldn't have had handed to him. But you just look at that resume. The fighters that he's fought, 7 losses on his entire career, 2 of them being from Ryan Bader. Just crazy. He's an absolute legend. Dana afterwards, when he got asked about him,
I know
he pissed a lot of people off, but like they took his quote out of context. People said Fedor should have retired a couple of years ago, not one of the greatest of all time. Dana made it a little more personal, and he said in the presser, he's never one of the guys that I have considered one of the greatest of all time. And we know that about Dana. They had the back and forth.
And also, when he said to me, like, he was like, how old is he? Like 46? Like 46. He's like, that's old. Like he pretty much like that's old to be fighting. So.
I don't think Dana has seen the last 10 Fedor fights.
Probably
I think he was
not.
just saying that based on like you're 46 years old.
He literally said it was pure age.
I mean, and in that press conference, he forgot Islam's name.
That was tough. I wrote down Islam versus Volk promotion. I feel
like he's getting a little too much shit for that. Like
he is.
People have brain farts where you just like forget that.
And
like,
it was
obviously he knows his name.
Dude,
like,
I had a brain fart sitting here with Juliana Pena where I was like, yeah, it'll be Nunez versus
oh yeah, that's right.
No, I forgot her name. She was right next to me. Obviously, I knew.
Also, low key, it's a great way to promote the fight. Like, Dana forgot the main fighter's name.
But it just the timing of it all, where it's like Islam's like he's not promoting our fight, and they're like Dana's like, yeah, slap fighting has we're number 1 on this, we're number 1 on that.
We must promote slap fighting, brother.
We have this, we're this in the world, where this is what WWE averages, and then someone's like, what about the biggest fight in UFC history next week? And he's like, the Australian kid versus the what's his nuts? Someone's like Islam. He's like, yeah, that's it. It was the optics of it were definitely bad. I do agree, though. People are making it out like Dana White doesn't know who's fighting next week.
Like he's like Islam. Like who's that?
He knows who's fighting. I also saw some people suggesting he did that on purpose to like put a knife in Islam's side for saying we weren't promoting you enough.
That'd be pretty savage if he did.
It'd be savage if he did. I don't think he's doing
if he was like that diabolical.
Yeah, he's like,
I wanted to ask you guys this. A lot of people. So I tweeted out that quote from Islam, and that tweet
went crazy.
Went nuts, crazy. Yeah. I didn't even think it would. I was just like, oh, nice little quote to put up. But people went crazy, and they're like, this is Islam's fault. He's boring. I think Islam, at least from my perspective, outside the cage, like if you watch an interview with him, he's a funny guy.
I don't think he's boring. Yeah, he is funny.
And also, you have to give that guy credit. Like English is his second language, maybe even third.
I was because it might not be a second. It might be his third or fourth.
Dagestani is kind of like a mix between, because remember we had that issue with Hezbollah
and the translator.
And then I'm sure he speaks Russian. And then obviously English. His English is pretty good too. And but I actually like him. I watched the Countdown. Did you watch it yet?
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
I always do. Yeah.
It was really good. They even got. It was nice to learn a little bit more about Emmett and even Yair a little bit. But Islam, of course, and Volk, like the stories about them. But to see Islam go back to Dagestan, they have all the shots of him, like, and his love for Dagestan is immense. And it's like, I don't know, for people that say he's boring, whatnot, I disagree.
I disagree. I think Islam right now is more interesting than Khabib McGregor.
100%. Because Khabib didn't like Islam.
Khabib didn't like doing interviews. Islam like has fun with DC and shit.
Yeah, I was about to say DC, like when he talks to Islam, you can tell this guy's really funny off camera.
Yeah,
because DC is just
the way he tries to set him up and provoke him. And you had a funny tweet where it's like everything Islam says, DC's just like, no, brother, you can't say that.
What, the Jordan Burroughs thing?
Yeah.
Like, come on, brother, like easy, like he's like,
double leg. I can get double leg,
easy, no problem.
And then he's like, no, Islam, this guy's number one, like best wrestler of all time. It's like, brother, if we have walls at AKA, I just go and double leg him.
By the way, speaking of wrestling, look forward to a Jerry wrestling segment on Spinnin' Backfist.
Yes,
he's taking over the wrestling world. We're behind them all the way. We're gonna have him on the show, break some things down for us. His moves, I was like, man, Jordan Burroughs better watch himself because oh my god,
himself.
Yeah, better check himself.
More news that I thought was worthy of talking about. Kevin Lee re-signs with the UFC.
Do you think that's because his brother is the biggest guy on the internet right now?
Kevin Lee's brother?
Yeah.
Do you know about this?
No.
His brother's like the social media king.
Lee.
Yeah.
What?
The Bellator. Are you still at Bellator? The Bellator fighter.
Yeah.
He reviews food. Dude,
he's blown up.
Dude, he posts a video. It has 100,000 likes in a minute.
On what platform?
TikTok. You have to follow him.
I didn't know this at all.
I don't even go on TikTok. I've just seen it like through people posting it on Twitter.
Has Bellator been like promoting this?
No, it's not. He just started doing it because I was talking to who was it? Oh, TJ. And TJ was telling me Keith Lee's always done content.
Okay.
He usually takes a month off of fighting, like from December to January, because he's
banks content
and he just does a lot of content. This year, for whatever reason, he started reviewing food, and he reviewed, I think, this Chipotle, like off the menu item, but is on the menu. And from there, now he just goes and saves restaurants across the country. He goes and he's like, this is the best thing. I don't love his videos because I have like a very serious ick of like, he has the AirPods on and he chews and you can hear the chewing.
Yeah. I don't
outside of that,
like ASMR.
He's a very funny guy. And it's like,
I didn't know that at all. That blows my mind.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, Keith Lee.
Now that you say that, I didn't know this 3 seconds ago. Yes, I do think that's why he resigned. I do.
I mean, it was one of the more surprising re-signings.
So surprising
signings in general. I just didn't see that coming.
Also, his fight in Eagle FC was kind of boring. I know he hurt his leg in the first round.
He got hurt like immediately and went to decision with Diego.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Kevin Lee though.
No, I don't dislike him. He's got one of the greatest head kick knockouts of all time over Gregor Gillespie.
And
that's
MSG,
an insane
right?
one. Yeah.
I
put him up against the fence like stiff as a board.
I took in our draft. I think it's one.
Whoa! Don't say stiff as a board.
I should.
No disrespect.
He was respectfully unconscious.
Yeah.
And then another thing I wanted to bring up: Game Bred Boxing. Another thing that kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't know that this was about to be announced, and then they announced main evented by Anthony Pettis versus Roy Jones Jr.
Just a wild combo
boxing match, by the way.
What a combo.
And Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stevens. Yep. Also,
awesome.
Jacare versus Vitor Belfort. There was one other fight on the main card. There's a
Paul Daly versus
yes, Semtex.
Who is Paul Daly fighting?
Paul Daly's fighting someone, and they're doing Pearl Gonzalez versus Gina Mazzani.
Yeah,
Gina Mazzani.
I think so. Yeah.
No way she has the cardio to get out of the fucking third round
in a boxing fight. Yeah, I don't know.
Remember that fight that Gina Mazzani just laid on a girl for like an entire round, and the ref was like, "I have to stand you up," and then she just got knocked the fuck out.
I vaguely remember.
She's married to somebody in the UFC.
Her corner, right? Her husband corners her.
But I think her husband was a UFC.
Is it
fighter.
her brother and her husband and her brother?
Oh,
I might be mixing that up there. Anthony Taylor.
That's who it is.
That's who he's fighting. Anthony Taylor's the one who pieced up Dylan Dennis in a parking lot.
Yeah,
right?
he did.
Yeah,
he's who fought. He fought Tommy Fury.
By the way,
on the first Woodley
another MMA thing.
Dylan Dennis getting scammed.
Dylan Dennis got CoffeeZilla. That's the number.
That was tough. Did you see that?
No. What is that?
Okay, so CoffeeZilla is this YouTuber.
I've heard the name. I've heard
it. He exposed Logan Paul.
Oh, he's like exposed for like scams and shit.
Yes.
Okay,
and
yes. Familiar.
He was like, they always try to come up with new videos, and then they were like they got a lot of info from people that Dylan Dennis has scammed a lot of people out of NFTs.
And also been like, Logan Paul's such a scumbag for scamming people.
And then they were like, all right, let's just see what we can do. And they just literally sent him a DM from like an account with 0 followers and was like, yeah, so can you just post this NFT for us for $1,000? And he was like, yeah, posted it right away. And this NFT was a complete scam. And then from there, that was pretty much like,
well, the best part too is he posted the link, like, this NFT is sick. Click on this link. You click on the link. It's just a link to all of it's like Dylan Dennis has scammed this many people.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a link that says
idiot.
like, here's the thing he scammed people with. Here's how he scammed them. Like,
and so then CoffeeZilla released a video on it. And if CoffeeZilla comes for you and you did anything in the crypto space, it's over.
He's huge. Yeah.
He's huge. And he's great. He's been on Dave's show. After,
really?
I think he came on. Remember
One
when
of the guys
Dave
to
got
explain stuff?
Sorry, 1 sec. So I could be it.
Oh, wait, since we're back. Mike Doty says we're back. We're back. We're good. All right. Sorry, fellas.
Sorry about that. Pete's in Arizona. You know, with this guy, he's traveling every week. He's never here. Yeah, you know.
He doesn't give a fuck.
We were talking about the Dylan Dennis crypto scam, though. And before that, we were talking about the Game Bread boxing card. I got to say, I'm not usually for these, like, MMA fighter goes over and fights in a boxing fight and influencers, blah, blah, blah. Even though this one's not really influencers, more just fighters. This card interests me. I'll watch this card.
So I watched Masvidal was on Hawani last week, and he teased this big time. He was almost going to say it, but he was waiting for bout agreements to get signed, and he was really hyping up like it's going to be like big.
Yeah.
He honestly this is better than I thought it was going to be.
It's really good.
Like I thought we were going to get just like one fight. I think we got 4 legitimately like, good fights.
Yeah. Like,
and then,
I'm fucking interested in
there's
Pettis versus Roy Jones Jr. Are you kidding me?
I mean, even just like Aldo Stevens is a great fight.
Yeah.
Even just like
Aldo Stevens without takeouts.
It's interesting to see them just boxing is like that. I think it's fascinating.
And is part of that technical issues. It's true. It's true. It's true.
And from what he said that the payments are gonna like be like exposed to the people. And he said
disclosed purses.
Yes, and he thinks they're gonna be very impressed. Like that, they're making a lot of money.
They deserve to make a lot of money. A lot of legends on that card that deserve, good money in their retirement years. And they're also a lot of even matchups. Like when Kevin Lee versus Diego Sanchez gets made in Eagle FC, everyone's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, that's insane that you're putting these, legends out there to get executed. Essentially, there was no matchup where I'm like, "Oh, this is uneven."
Roy Jones is really old. Not that I think
he's old, but
not that I think he's even going to lose or anything.
In a boxing fight,
he's just old.
I trust him to be able to defend himself against Anthony.
No,
Pettis.
I do too. Like I said, like me saying that is not even me trying to say that Anthony Pettis is going to just like wipe the floor with them. Anyone that's old, it just scares me a little bit.
Yeah, true. That's true. That's a good point. Didn't he fought Mike Tyson?
Yeah, and it was that was also like a few years ago.
Also a decent
that was
fight.
A good fight.
Yeah.
It was a good fight, but also Mike Tyson's old too.
Pretty enjoyable. Nate Robinson, Logan Paul.
It was that was the headliner.
That feels like it was a lifetime ago.
That was the headliner of the.
There's like no fans. It was just like zoomed in on the ring.
Hand up. I thought Nate Robinson was going to beat him before that fight. I was like, Nate Robinson's a fucking athlete. Jake Paul's not an athlete. I couldn't have been more wrong about that.
I thought he was going to lose too. Once I saw them in the ring together, I was a little bit more like, who knows? But I didn't think he was going to. That was what got me all in.
I was like, Nate Robinson made the fucking kryptonite dunk.
That was actually what started to get, like, I started betting on him after that, because I was like, my opinion on it was like, he did what a somewhat trained boxer would do to a nobody.
Yeah, it's true.
This is from Mike Doty. Didn't someone try to expose Lope for the last Bellator card and called out for being wrong? What happens is California is the only state you have to like tell, I guess, the commission the pay, but then it wasn't Jake Shields. Who was it?
It was Josh Thompson.
Yeah, Josh Thompson quote tweeting was like, "This all like you can't trust these." I remember when
we've heard before.
When I was at Bellator, it said I made 50K, but I actually made 500K for the fight. So, I mean, I don't think someone was trying to expose Bellator for it. It was just given to the California Sports Athletic Commission, and then everyone goes and
when it went out, it was like when you read the purses, if you were to believe them, there were a couple like, man, a lot of people made more money than Fedor on this card.
Like Johnny Evelyn, who we love, of course, made more than Fedor, which would have been a little bit surprising because Fedor's
like through sponsors, I'm sure like everything was evened out and everything, but like even not just Eblin, but I feel like there was like non-champion, was Brennan Ward made more, and I was like, oh my god, like, or he made close to Fedor money.
Well, so Bader talked about it on Hawani yesterday.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
And he said it's not even close.
So then that's
like, he was like, we're making way more than that. He was because him, it was said one. He was like, trust me, I'm making way more than that.
You don't hear about Bellator fighters complaining a lot.
I actually think how it started was people were starting to come at Hawani and being like, oh, like you come at UFC, like why don't you Bellator? They're paying these guys dog shit.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, you could kind of say the same thing about UFC because they do the same thing.
What do you mean, like at the bottom level?
Like I'm saying, besides the bottom level, like they're high level guys, they're not disclosed.
Oh yeah, DC's talked about that plenty of times,
and like Sugar's talked about it a bunch. Like he's like, my fee is not disclosed, and I think a lot of the champs they're like 500. Like I don't think that's not all.
And Sugar just signed his 8-fight contract.
He signed a new big one.
He had a good interview with Pat McAfee.
Yeah, and I think he said.
He said he gets every time it's been like 8-fight deal. He usually renegotiates after like 2-3 fights.
I know. I actually would like to talk to Dana about that. I don't know how much Dana would like let me in behind the scenes when it comes to that stuff, but almost the like, what's the point of the crazy long fighters? Is that just so you know, like you're locked down and we can renegotiate at any point? Like, why even sign them to that 8-fight deal?
Well, I think it's because what you said, like you want to have them locked down, but I also think he wants to be reasonable. Whereas like if
fighters probably like it too.
I think it's, for example, like
security,
like a Sugar, like obviously like his star power rises. Like it's not like, I'll put it like this. I mean, they're not renegotiating everybody's contract.
No.
Only special
so many
guys.
Either get renegotiated or you just get dropped before you finish out your contract.
Yeah.
Which is like interesting that they keep and they don't pursue. They're not signing, low level fighters to 8-fight.
Well,
deals.
the only guys they really drop when they're like under contract, they're like high paid guys.
Yeah.
Like high paid, like guys like the Woodleys, and like you're on like a 4-fight losing streak, you make like $500,000 a fight.
They basically told Anderson Silva he was retired.
Yeah, even if you don't win, like they're just like over. They're just kind of like done with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Bader literally, he makes right now 8 to 9 times more than he made in the UFC. His direct quote.
I actually believe that.
He said
about a guy like him.
8 to 9 times was his direct quote.
Because he probably wasn't making that much in the UFC, like a guy like him.
Honestly,
who wasn't a big personality.
I bet he was making like 100.
Yeah.
I bet now he makes close to $1 million. I bet
because he's got all his sponsors now.
As the heavyweight champion.
Imagine making like 800K for Bellator and then going in there and just like piecing up Fedor for 2 minutes.
Twice.
800K.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it's like, I think Derek Lewis is probably on a great contract.
He definitely makes a few $100,000. I bet.
And even like
at least
he went in there and he tried. I mean, he got up from multiple takedowns and he was getting ragdolled. And everyone was like, I feel bad for Derek Lewis. I feel bad for Derek Lewis. I mean, he's fine. He didn't get knocked unconscious.
He barely got hit. Yeah.
He barely got hit, and then he got submitted and he got a good payday. And He'll be back. He'll fight again.
Also,
Dana said he's not going anywhere.
No,
and also he's only
absolutely
losing the top tier people. Like people are like he's finished. It's like,
oh yeah, there's so many matchups out there in the heavyweight division.
Tybura the other night,
he
would have
fought
fucking
Parker
destroyed.
Porter.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Well, no disrespect.
No disrespect. No disrespect.
He's winning this weekend.
Who's fighting a main event?
No.
main event pay-per-view card.
He's winning this weekend.
Yeah.
All right. He's in Australia. I've been following him on Instagram stories. He doesn't follow me back, which is
Parker.
Damn.
He's got to follow you back. We'll give him a big shout out on Thursday.
He's gonna be the enemy. He's fighting a fucking
Islander.
Islander.
Tough, all right.
He's fighting an Islander.
There's a lot of interesting fights. Before we we'll obviously preview
We'll do that
on Thursday.
But you think Volk has a shot or no?
Yes.
I think we're gonna know, or I think we're gonna know in the early on.
I'm gonna say yes.
I'm almost at the point where I'm like, this is I don't even think he has a chance.
I might sprinkle on Volk.
I'm
what are his odds? Is he plus 2 something?
Like almost 300.
Then I'll definitely sprinkle on Volk.
I think it's one of those things we're gonna know. We're gonna know within the first 3 minutes where the fight I think there's no I think it's either Volk gets ran through or he wins.
How much does your mindset change?
I think it's either just a dominant blitz by Islam.
Islam's so much bigger.
Or it's a
how
war.
much does your mindset change if Islam shoots a fucking great takedown in the opening exchange and Volk stuffs that shit, stands back
big
up?
time. No, it's big time. That's what I'm saying. I think we'll know early.
I mean, it will be.
Although Islam is getting cocky saying I'm gonna knock him out.
I know. Yes, I saw that.
He's like UNFL 155, brother.
Yeah.
He's different. Big
AC in the back. You can't say that. You can't say that, Islam. Yeah.
He's just different. He's never different power.
Also,
it's tough with Volk because Volk his hands are so good, but he doesn't exactly have this crazy one punch knockout power at 45.
Yeah, I mean.
No.
He has
I don't think Volk will knock him out.
I almost consider him volume power.
Yes.
Yeah. For his volume,
fights,
he hits hard, but he's not he's never really had a highlight reel knockout.
It's gonna be. I mean, I'm pumped.
Maybe
for it,
Mendez, he had the body shot that basically ended him.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But he hasn't really had
obviously,
also it's tough too because he had 3 fights with Holloway, who has literally an iron chin.
Yeah. And the way he survived against Ortega too, though, I'm fuck, man, he was in the deepest of waters with Ortega.
He just uses
kicking his legs out.
He just uses 145ers like punching bags.
Yeah.
He just beats the brakes off them until they either break or they just he just wins an easy decision.
I have to piss so bad. Do you guys want to keep going and I'll come back in a second, or do you want to wrap it up?
Good at this point.
I mean,
I'm gonna say we talked about all our topics.
We'll really break down the card later the next.
And
episode.
I'm sure there'll be more stuff that breaks today, tomorrow.
True.
So I have some big thoughts on the Madalena Brown fight. We'll get into it next time.
What, Randy?
Good tease.
Randy.
For Thursday.
All right.
There's my tease. No opinions have been shed.
Tune in on Thursday. We're going to break down the whole card. We're going to be doing the promotion that Islam says they ain't happening. We'll promote it for you. And thanks for tuning in today. Make sure to like the stream. Make sure you like it and comment afterwards. Helps us.
Thank you. God bless.